two things I want you to remember. If you're taking notes or just however you want to remember this, two things I want you to remember. Insurance protects you from peril, P-E-R-I-L, and gives you coverage if you're liable. Somebody came in, did you get it? Okay, did you get one? Mm-hmm. All right, the first brochure, renters insurance. This one will pertain to you all right now as we speak. Open up the inside. Inside the first cover there, you see at the top in the reddish orangish band, what is covered? Somebody shout out one of them. Fire. Theft. Explosion. Smoke.
Riot.
I'm sorry? Riot.
Falling objects.
Falling objects. Okay, let's stop and deal with those. Question. There's a fire in the dorm. Dorm burns down. Your stuff covered?
Yeah.
I don't think we have insurance in the dorms.
Somebody said not bad.
What'd she say?
She said if you stayed in an apartment and you had renter's insurance, your items would be covered, but if you lived in a dorm, you may not be. Anybody agree with that?
I disagree.
You disagree. Tell me why.
I feel like when we did our FAFSA stuff and all that kind of stuff,
Okay.
the documents that like we had to pay for, like the things that we had to sign,
Uh-huh.
and that is covered with our FAFSA stuff.
Okay.
I feel like it includes insurance for things that are
In the dorm.
yes.
Anybody agree with him?
Probably.
In the dorm, apartment only. Come on. Talk to me.
I don't think so because we didn't pay for it. But we didn't pay anyway.
I know like electronic stuff, like I do electronics.
Okay.
Like my computer, I have insurance on my computer.
You got insurance on the computer. If it burns in that fire in the dorm, is your insurance company going to pay? She said no. He thinks yes. Some of y'all,
Only on certain items like in electronics. But that's
Electronics?
That's through different electronic stores.
your clothes
No.
burn in the dorm because your sweet mate caused a fire. Covered?
No.
All right, let's back up. Inside that brochure, you saw what is covered. The top first peril, fire. So we can all agree a dormitory fire, an insurance company pays. Can we agree on that? Anybody disagree? All right. Yes, insurance company's going to pay. But let's talk about, well, going to her point, dorm or off-campus apartment. Guess what? The insurance pays in the dorm. I'll tell you why in a minute. Insurance pays in the dorm. All right? Somebody said, told you. She's not quite wrong.
Nobody want to agree with me.
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know that the insurance that you had for the fire that burned up all your stuff, clothes, computer, we'll get to that, shoes, hat, eyeglasses, everything.
The school has insurance on the building.
The school has insurance on the building.
Of course, they don't want to lose money in the thing.
So NCCU is responsible for your items in the dorm.
NCCU is responsible for the dorm building.
Okay, I'm talking about your belongings.
It's not. They ain't covering. You gotta get your own.
How do you know? Okay, I told you first, the peril of fire, because it's in the brochure, and that's not a policy, but trust me, peril of fire is covered. I said the dormitory. How do you know? Anybody want to hesitate to guess? No clue? What is the contract called? The piece of paper. Let me back up one step. Anybody have a guess of what I do? I'm an insurance agent. What is it that I do?
People like me.
What's that? What do you think I do? I can see it work. Not a thing. I hear you. What's that?
I don't know.
Okay. What do you think I do? If I'm going to come see you and provide insurance coverage for your items in the dorm, including electronics, for the peril of fire, all right, in order to know that you had coverage, Come on now, let's get the wheels turning. What is it that you had to show that you have coverage? An insurance policy. I write insurance policies, which are contracts. All right. Show of hands. Okay, let's back up. We agreed the peril of fire is covered. We agreed that your items are covered in the dorm. We agreed that we cover anything. Glasses, clothes, electronics, shoes, dishes if you live in a suite. Whatever you have, if I can pick that dorm up and shake it and all your stuff falls out on the ground, all that is covered. Based upon an insurance policy. By a show of hands, how many people in here have an insurance policy in their dorm room? So what? So, if you're standing outside, building on fire, all your stuff burning up, all you got on is your robe and your shorts, hair tied up, how do you tell the insurance company, my stuff is burning up in there? Take pictures. Okay. Who has the policy? It's y'all stuff. Here's something I want you to take with you. Here's the answer. All right. As long as you all are dependents under your parents or guardian, their homeowner's policy covers your stuff. So they're the ones that have the policy because the contract says the insured, you, can be you and family. So guess what? If parents, guardians have a policy in place, your stuff is covered in the dorm. And if you live off campus in an apartment, it's covered in the apartment. Your items are covered anywhere in the world. If you're flying, you land, the airline says, guess what? We lost your bag, never to be found again. Insurance. That's what you have insurance for. Okay, let's talk about electronics.
I have a question.
Question.
So, the only reason that all that travel insurance that they try to sell you, the only reason that would be really beneficial is for like to cover your flight. I mean, the expenses you would lose.
That you would lose, right. If you lost,
Not your actual possession.
they don't cover your actual possessions. The flight insurance is more, you got bumped,
Right.
you got to pay a higher rate, or to some extent, you're delayed in a whole 24 hours. You got some hotel expenses in there. That's what the flight insurance covers. Right. Here we have a, yes, question? Yes. All right. We've got somebody here with a laptop. Tonight, when she goes back to her room, she opens up the laptop again. She has a cup of coffee beside the laptop, and it spills into the keyboard. All right. Open up the brochure. She has renter's insurance. She's in the dorm. We talked about electronics. She spilled water or coffee on the keyboard. And it doesn't work for a moment. Inside the front cover of the brochure. Is it covered? What are your thoughts? Yes, ma'am. What do you think? Is her computer covered?
Yes, it says accident.
She said yes. Your computer covered? What do you think? Just give me that.
Okay, well, based on what you said, that,
Look inside the cover.
wait,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because you said that if your parents have insurance, then it'll cover your dorm stuff.
That is correct. All right, but let's back up. Because she touched base on a key thing with regards to insurance I want y'all to remember now into your adulthood. The first thing you got to understand is what happened. Because insurance does not cover everything. So what happened? She said we've got coverage. She lives with her folks. Parents got the policy. We got a laptop, coffee spilled on the keyboard. Inside that front cover, we got fire, theft, smoke, explosion, falling objects, riot and civil commotion. Coffee on the laptop keyboard. Her fault. She knocked it over. Is it covered?
No, I don't think
It
so.
wasn't an accident, it was just not.
The one thing I always ask people all the time when they call me with what we call an insurance claim situation, fire, theft, whatever, or what happened, and then we got to look in the policy that I wrote up for you, the contract that you have, to see what's covered. Spilling coffee is not covered. Okay? So, she's out of luck on the laptop. That goes to your question about electronics. But, guess what? You can buy insurance to cover the laptop for that type of situation. If it got knocked over and fell and shattered, you can get insurance for that. Liquid in the keyboard, you can get insurance for that. The display, the screen shatters, you can get insurance for that. It's a separate policy, but you can get insurance. It is not covered under a renter's policy for what I said, liquid in the keyboard. Now, look inside that front cover, what is covered. If it burned up in the dorm fire, covered?
Yeah.
Yes. Somebody stole it, covered? Yes. If NCCU won a national championship and everybody's out on Fayetteville Street going crazy and they're turning over cars and acting crazy because NCCU is national champions, NCAA, and she happened to have her laptop and her book bag and she was going back to her room, somebody knocked it out and it fell and shattered, covered?
Yes.
Yes. That's considered riot and civil commotion. All right, even though it's on a positive note, Central Warren. Any questions so far? Am I going? Yes.
How would you actually prove it? Well, never mind.
No. I love that question. You were, please ask it.
How would you prove it event like that? I mean, other than pictures, like, what if you don't have a phone? Like, you know, I mean, I know you can probably see it on the news or something.
Right.
But like, what if you don't have all of that to explain what happened?
Well, let's go back to the dormitory fire. Everything burns up. All you have is what you had on when you ran out of the dorm. Okay. I always tell people, with valuable items, keep receipts or any documentation of purchase. You know, if she went online and got that, she might have printed off the receipt and kept it if she went straight to Lenovo or the Apple store or whatever the case may be. All right? But you don't keep receipts on everything. But guess what? We're going to pay you for that shirt. But how do we know what the shirt that you had the shirt? Claims is not going to haggle over that. If you said you had clothes, you got clothes, we're going to pay you. Some people do mail order, so they know where they get stuff online. Some people just go to the store and buy. There's not going to be any haggling on that kind of stuff. We're going to pay you. We're going to pay you. Do people sort of inflate a little bit, take advantage? I'm not going to lie, that sometimes happens. Any other questions? All right. Now, we talked about electronics. She brought that up. I mentioned laptop. What about this?
Yeah.
Electronic? If it's stolen, is it covered?
Yes.
Theft?
Yeah.
Guess what we don't cover? Cell phone.
Cover cell phone.
Used to a long time ago. But I'm not sure about, I understand there are a few companies that still may. Most don't. Because you can now buy the contract in your plan that gives you coverage for a phone. Like if your screen shatters, you lose it, you drop it, it's stolen, that kind of thing. And so you have coverage for that. I always like to tell people about cell phones. They're not covered under your regular homeowner's insurance. Get the contract, buy the insurance in your contract. The reason why companies got away from it is because cell phone companies now are more focused on the plan. Well, before smartphones, they focus more on the 2-year plan and the contract as opposed to the phone. And with upgrades left and right, it was harder to keep up with everything. Just as soon as we wrote down a serial number on the phone, somebody got an upgrade and it changed. So cell phones are not covered under renter's insurance. Last thing, you're walking around in your room and you bang your toe against one of the legs on your bed. And you broke your toe, you broke your big toe. Is it covered?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear what he said? It's your fault, clumsy. Hold on to that thought for a minute because I'm going to go back to that. All right. For right now, with this example, you banged your toe, rushing to get to class, you were late, hit the leg of the bed, broke your toe. Insurance covers it? Look inside the front cover. Is it a fire? No. Smoke? No. Civil commotion? No. Falling objects? No. Can you buy insurance to cover your toe?
Yeah, you can. You can insure certain body parts.
Please say it out loud. Health insurance. Okay. You would be surprised the questions I get from people who may, for whatever reason, let's say, be wheelchair bound and want to know how the wheelchair is covered. And, health, you fall or something like that, that's health insurance. Whole nother topic. We won't get into that. We're speaking strictly about renter's insurance. Yes.
Can you insure certain body parts? Like I know certain celebrities when they're famous for certain body parts, they get it insured.
All the time. All right. And that's the insurance for future income. $1 million policy on a basketball player because of what his projected contract and income could be. You can get insurance on just about anything. All right. But that's a whole different kind of policy. But yes, you can do that. So I want y'all to walk away because this does pertain to you today. You want to be sure as you go back, look at that material, talk to family, make sure your items are covered. Because they are, because you're still considered dependent under your folks' insurance. Even if they live in other parts of the state, you have coverage, except for electronics as it pertains to those things that are not inside that front cover, the brochure.
So when you get emancipated from your parents, that means you just you're on your own. So that wouldn't pertain to that.
If that's the situation, you need to get your own policy. All right? Because you're not then considered a dependent in a household that would be tied into, imagine that household with a house. That's the insurance on that house that extends to your stuff. But if you aren't connected in any way through emancipation with the family, then you get it on your own. And you could buy it. You could buy it. Your address is your dorm address, you can get insurance. Yes. Now, insurance follows you. So if you decide to live off campus, whenever you're able to do that, that same policy will cover you. You graduate and you relocate to Texas, rewrite the policy to the state of Texas. The insurance policy that you get eventually, once you leave the household, will follow you anywhere you go. Any questions? All right. That's it for renter's insurance. I wanted to start there because I want you all to all know to be sure that your items are covered. All right, moving on. You raised the point about carelessness and silly, stupid things we do. All right? You raised the point about it's your off the wall because of your clumsiness. You got to pay for that. All right? Guess what? You got renter's insurance. Your clumsiness, your fault, tore the railing off my wall. Is it covered? What's that?
He said you should have put it up.
I should have put it up better?
Yeah, you should have built your house.
When you look at that railing, you got 3 holes where I had it solid on the wall. Okay, that's true. It's my house.
Well, no, that's like a car. Like when somebody gets hit by a car. It's kind of
All
the
right,
same.
do me a favor, open up the brochure. Go to the middle section. All right, the renter's brochure. We're still on renters. The middle section, understanding the details of your coverage, skip on down. Personal liability coverage E. Somebody want to read that first sentence to me?
Gotcha. This coverage may pay for bodily injury and property damage to others caused by an occurrence for which you are legally liable and to which this insurance applies.
Stop. Is he legally liable for tearing the handrail off the wall in my house? Yes. He caused damage in my house. Okay? Provided, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, but like legally wise, you can't take him to court for tearing the handrail down. It's just not gonna be enough money, like a court.
Let's make some assumptions. The handrail was secure against the wall. All right? If it was loose, then it would be on me. But let's say it was secure against the wall, and he tore it down. All right? He says, let's make another assumption. He is at fault. Will his renter's insurance policy fix my handrail?
I would guess so.
Somebody shook their head yes. Anybody disagree?
By this coverage, yeah.
By this coverage, yes. Personal liability coverage, he is liable for the damage done to my place that he rents, be it apartment, house, whatever. And so there is coverage for that. All right. Now, your clumsiness is covered in some instances, but your intentional act is not. So if you just go out here and tear up something, no. Liability, what you're negligent for. Any questions? Because we're going to move on now to car insurance. Anybody have a car? Y'all can't have a car. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Do you understand what you have? Let's talk about liability. We talked about it with the handrail. Let's talk about it with the car insurance. Can somebody tell me what they think liability is?
Wait a minute.
Liability. If you are liable, you are what? Responsible. Okay? Simple as that. In North Carolina, liability is mandatory. If you drive a car, you got to have insurance on it. Now, she's driving her car, and she hits me. Is she liable? If I turned in front of her, and she hit me, is she liable? What's that?
As long as you ain't making up.
Let me hold that thought. I turned in front of her. Oh, I gave it away. She hits me. Who's liable?
She's liable.
Me or her?
She is.
You're driving.
You depends on the
You
situation.
trying to front me.
The situation is, I turned in front of her.
It's yours.
She hit me.
It's yours.
All right.
Especially if you run a red light.
I turned in front of her.
It's his. You can't, like, you can't.
You run a red light?
Did I run a red light? No.
Is he at the stop sign?
I'm coming out of.
He said it's your fault. He's been in a situation.
I'm coming out of one of the side streets right here in Lawson, by the cafeteria. I'm coming out there. She hit me on the side, tore my door all to pieces.
It is your fault.
It's my fault if I turned in front of her. And it can be proven that I did. Typically, when the police come, now they don't write up a ticket. They'll do a report and a diagram. But the liability is not hers now, it's mine. So that means in my car, I have to have insurance. Because I was at fault, I turned in front of her. Even though she was coming, I made the illegal move, I'm liable. Now, the key thing with liability, there's another word I want y'all to remember. When I turned in front of her, I was negligent. When he tore the hand railing off the wall in my place, even though it wasn't intentional, there's still negligence. That's where you have auto liability. Any questions on that? All right, as we talk about liability, and let's keep going with that scenario. She's hurt. Whose insurance pays? Mine. Her car is torn all to pieces. Whose insurance pays?
Hers.
He said, who's car torn to pieces?
Her car is torn all to pieces as well as mine.
Oh, it still be yours.
But it's still my insurance because I was liable. All right? For those of you all who have a driver's license but don't own a car, do you have insurance on the car that you get into to go somewhere? All right? So, if I gave you my keys
If you're under your parents' insurance, no, not yours, no.
Don't do that.
Cause it's
If you're under your parents'
car.
You
if
said
you're
don't do
under
it.
your parents' insurance, you're under all the cars.
I'm parked over.
But
Here you go. You need to run to Walmart. What's that? I know, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I let her use my car. She doesn't own one, but she has a license. Who's insuring?
It's yours. Yeah.
Anybody disagree?
Would it be hers? 'Cause it was-
Your car, but she.
There it is right there. Insurance follows the car. Okay? So as long as you have permission to drive anybody's car, if that car has insurance on it,
It's whoever owns it.
whoever owns the car. Now, she takes my car, needs to run to Walmart, she has an accident. Pulls out in front of you again. You just got your mess fixed after I. Then she pulls out in front of you. All right? In my car. Whose insurance pays? My insurance. Insurance follows the car. She was liable. She is in no relation to me. She's not my daughter, so she's not on my policy. In North Carolina, we have a point system. Anybody familiar with it?
Yeah.
All right. You get points based upon negligent acts. All right. If you're speeding, you get points. If you're at fault in an accident, you get points. The points go on her, or will follow her. I'm speaking of insurance points. They follow her. Where do the points go?
On her license. No, it was on your license because it's on your, wait. No, it was on hers. It was on
Anybody
hers.
confused with my question? Let me need to restate. She's driving my car, turns in front of her. She causes the accident. My liability is going to pay because insurance follows my car. I just lent her my car. We are not related. She's not my daughter. I just let her borrow my car. She got a ticket or is at fault for turning in front of her. My insurance pays to fix her car. She's at fault for turning in front. She gets points. Where do those points go?
On her license.
Okay?
'Cause she got-
In North Carolina, we got two sets of points. License points, because she did an unsafe movement, and we have insurance points. The one thing I tell you all the time, please be careful. Because your folks are shelling out money for everything you need. For those of you who drive, even if it's somebody else's car to make a quick run to Walmart, okay, be careful because her insurance points are going to go on the policy that she's assigned to, presumably her family. So all of a sudden, that insurance goes up. So if you are a driver, please be careful because the insurance goes up for speeding, passing a stop school bus, accidents, of course, things like that. One final thing, and I sort of made this point just in conversation. With insurance, if I give her my keys to drive my car, to run to the bank, go to Walmart, whatever, with permissive use, I have given her coverage. Permissive use, I have given her coverage.
What about rental cars?
Rental car.
You gotta be insurance for that time period that you have it.
You got to get insurance for the rental car. That's part of the contract. But they ask you at the counter, all right, do you want to exercise the waiver? If you have insurance on your own car, you don't need to buy it. Just give them that information. It saves you a ton of money. You give them that information because insurance on your car extends to the rental car for the temporary time that you got it. A week, whatever the case may be. So if you got an internship somewhere and you got to fly and just to sit down and talk to the people as you put in your application, you need a rental car to get from the airport to where you're going. If you got insurance on the car that you've often driven with family back home, just give them that information. You don't need to buy that extra insurance. Now, most of you all are how old?
About 220.
Okay. Rental car agencies have changed it, and I think you're okay at 2021 to rent a car. Enterprise, I think, is okay with that, because I've run into situations with college students where years ago they wouldn't rent to you all, but you do have the coverage for that. Any questions? Car insurance. Okay. Moving on, because we're about to wrap this up soon. I want you to go to this last piece of paper, because this is important as well. Why do young adults need life insurance? What do y'all think life insurance is? Insurance on your life. That's basically right. Okay, to do what? Use the same logic about the fire in the dorm.
In case accidents happen.
Okay? If I have a stroke and die, will life insurance pay? Yes. A stroke is not considered an accident like a car accident or something like that. But you have life insurance will pay for natural death as well as accidental.
Depending what coverage you have.
All right? But what's the point of what you all think of getting life insurance?
It pay for hospital bills.
Funeral, hospital bills if you're hospitalized before you die,
Helping your family out.
helping the family out. Okay. Anybody here got a family?
I'm talking about, yeah.
All right.
This is my family.
You ain't gonna pay your bills.
Okay. He made a point. I want to go down that road for a hot minute. This is your family.
I won't pay your bills.
You got a $100,000 life insurance policy. Who is your beneficiary? You know what that word is?
Yes.
The
Who is going
parents, spouse, or your
to
child.
provide that?
All right. He said this is his family. Have you listed your family?
I did not list any of that.
Okay. All right. What we call life insurance is basically income replacement. But you're exactly right. It pays for your final expenses, funeral expenses. In some cases, though, you may have health insurance. If you spent time in the hospital before you passed away, those kinds of bills, that kind of thing. Will life insurance pay for your student loan, for those of y'all who have loans directly yourself?
If you just get the money, ain't it? Because some places just give you the money and you can use it how you want.
Yes, they can.
Go down to 1, 2, 3,
More cash when it's
the
needed.
fourth line where it says an immediate estate in bold. On this note, an immediate estate. Life insurance proceeds can provide funds to help your loved ones pay final expenses, which she was said, student loan or car loan. Possibly your parents may have life insurance on you. Do y'all think that was, is it worth getting life insurance on you all now?
Especially with parents, they can't take care of their mom.
Why would you want, for those of you who believe that you need life insurance now, why?
Because
Why do you think?
like,
Technically,
we at the age where like anything can happen, but like at this age we start building up the life insurance. So like when we get to an older age, we have kids, and it's gonna be at like a higher rate. That way, if anything happens, then our whole family, like coming up, they'll be set.
Let me help you out with what he's, because he hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, life insurance agent.
You think you Hey, bro, get off my- Hey, whoa.
Go down to the third point. More cash when it's needed. Depending on the type of policy, we aren't gonna get into that. Permanent universal life. Bills, cash value that can be used for education, retirement, or other expenses. It makes sense at 19, 20, 21 years old to buy life insurance versus my age at 53. It's cheaper. So it makes a point to get it now. The question, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have a question now. If your parents already have insurance on you, would it go over to you? Or would you have to start all over?
It can, depending on what they did in the contract, in the policy that I sold, because that's what I do. Yes, in that contract. Because sometimes you can list on the policy that it automatically makes you the owner. But going back to his point, depending on when they got that policy, let's say you were 4 or 5 years old, it may have some cash value in it. Do they want to turn that over to you? And let's say it's $2,000. For you to cash in the policy, take the $2,000 and go get something. That it's better to have the protection than this stuff.
Do you state that? So, would you have, if my mom had talked to you about getting life insurance on me, would you have stated that to her?
Yes.
That she can,
That we can make you an automatic owner at age 21.
okay,
That's something that is.
That is something that is clearly stated. But I'm not going to say every agent does that. Sometimes you just go through the form and check off that you will not be automatically the owner at age 21. Only because, and again, it goes back to her question, life insurance is about the protection, not the cash value buildup in the policy. Because now's the time to get it, because as you get older, you marry, you have children, you buy homes, you acquire assets, these things that are important that you want your family to have should something happen to you. So, people ask me all the time at my age, you all have no economic value whatsoever. If anything, you're draining folks, okay? I don't mean to say that, insulting, but you all are contributing financially to the households that you are a part of. But it makes sense to buy it now only because when you all get older and then start working and create that economic value, you have a question.
Do you gotta like have someone's permission to get it on them?
Yes. All right. Some people think that they can go out and get life insurance on anybody. Can you do that?
No. That's,
No.
That's how hard. Like,
Without that person's permission. Can I go out and write a life insurance policy on her? Okay. And she has no clue.
Maybe it's family.
If you that legal guardian.
If I'm her legal guardian, I can. All right. And I think the age is 18. Above age 18, we need to get her signature on the contract. But a lot of people think because I've got family, some people live in risky lifestyles, I want to take life insurance out of a brother or an uncle or something like that. You can't do it without their permission. Some companies used to do it years ago, but I mean, if I took life insurance out on you, as soon as and you hear about this on those kinds of TV shows, and then we take him out, and beneficiary, family, we start throwing money out. All right? So you can't get life insurance on somebody else without their permission.
If you're under 18, your parents can?
Yes. Yes. Oh, even at your age, your parents can, but you're going to sign on it. You're going to sign on it. Any questions? All right. Basically, I really glossed over a whole lot of stuff. You got a lot of material in front of you. Please hang on to it. If anything I want you all to take from this is the fact that we want to be sure your belongings are covered. So go back to family and say, hey, look, you got a homeowner's policy. Is your agent back home, wherever you're from, know that I'm in school at Central. I've got these items. I want to be sure they're covered. For those of you who all have laptops, computers, anything like that, document what you have. A serial number, make, model, and memory. That's what we need to know. We don't want to replace a 4 gig with a 2 gig, that kind of thing. So you're not getting what you had. The job of us as insurance people is to replace the item that you have.